they opened up a little small track in Danville called the Dixie Speedway, and they wanted to get some black drivers, and they thought they didn't know who to approach, so they went to the police department to find out what black guys had speeding records and things like that. So they told them they want somebody to drive a race car to see me. So that's how I started racing.
As Matt told us earlier, trying to become the first African-American driver since Willie T. Ribbs and join Randy Bethea and the great Wendell Scott.
He did he drove the car exactly what the car wanted him to do. He got out early. It looked like a little tight, but he kept in the throttle and he got a good lap. And wow, way to go!
There you go.
That's it.
That man, Tony Schumacher, wins. He is the champion for an 8th time. But Antron Brown, if Tony Schumacher loses, becomes the first African-American to win an NHRA title. 376, Antron Brown is the top fuel champion.
These need to be the best 7 laps of Darrell Wallace Jr.'s life.
That was a good first part of it right there.
Turn number 4, Darrell Wallace Jr. is going to get his first win in the Camping World Truck Series. His final time through 3 and 4. He's going to do it. Bubba Wallace wins at Kansas.
Ready. What they gonna say now, baby? Let's go!
Record is equals. Lewis Hamilton wins the Turkish Grand Prix and is a 7-time champion of the world.
Get in there, Lewis. What a way to do it, mate. What a way to win your 7th world title.
Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Victory Lane Vibes. We are your hostesses with the mostesses, Arthur, Denny, Bonte, and your boy is Jared. It was Darlington this week. But first, I gotta ask Denny, why Yuki blew up on the formation lap? What was that about?
That's a really good question. Red Bull powertrain technologies, they haven't really elaborated on quite why Yuki went pop on the formation lap. About all we got was that Christian himself admitted to being a little concerned because, of course, gearbox and, basic engine is the same. And he was like, okay, well, if Yuki goes bang, then there are 3 other cars on the grid that could, in theory, do the exact same thing. It may have just been just one of those weird one-off engine failures, but goodness knows.
That was a race. I mean, I watched it. It was weird. I think the part that weirded me out the most, that sounds awful, but the part that was strange to me, I should say, because, of course, you take the formation lap, you're warming up your tires, Yuki goes boom, and there's a red flag. Then you got to do it all over again. So I know the ESPN broadcast made mention of how that sort of messed with the tire wear for the first stint of the race. Did Lewis start on hards?
Yes, he did.
He did start on hards. And he was upset that sort of destroyed what he was trying to accomplish. Max won again. But I felt like Ferrari tried to at least to have him not.
Yeah, so yes, the formation lap, which turned into merely an aborted start, which in and of itself then turned into a actually kind of lengthy red flag period while they go to recover the stricken AlphaTauri. Yeah, it's that thermal cycling. It was actually the reason why at the in the red flag period with 2 to go in the Indy 500, it was the reason why all the drivers were absolutely livid. It's the same thing. Cold or freshly blanketed tires is very different from tires that have been out on circuit and then you stop. And yes, in particular for Lewis starting on hard, that's a very big thing because those tires never have a ton of temperature in them to begin with, and it just takes so long to get that back. But otherwise, Ferrari put on quite the show. Old smooth operator, he worked as he drove the wheels off of that car to try and of course the idea was to get a race win at Monza, which is painted red with Tifosi. That didn't quite happen. But you got to give Carlos credit. That was probably the most exciting race we've had at the front of the field all season. Yeah, he pushed like absolute mad, and then 5 to go, and then Charles and Carlos start scrapping, and that big lockup that Charles had into the first chicane, and I was like, oh no, this Ferrari gonna Ferrari at Monza. They didn't. They kept the cars clean. They brought it home in one piece, but it was a right old tussle for that last spot on the podium. Not actually the most interesting midfield scrap this week. Surprisingly enough, Lewis was put kind of on the back foot, had to work his way through traffic. Just a very clumsy move on, I think that was Piastri. I think Lewis just misjudged it because he's not the sort to kind of sweep across after he's basically already got a move completed, which he all but had done. So I just think he wasn't. It's just a lapse in judgment, frankly, from Lewis, which was a little bit of a bummer, but it really didn't matter. Once he got clear of Albon, who was on dead tires, and the Williams wasn't particularly quick this week, not on out and out pace. Albon was defending for his life the whole final stint. Made enough of a gap. The penalty really didn't matter. Feel a little bit bad for Oscar. He was actually on track for a decent result, but that kind of put pay, and then he got tangled up with Lawson, and then actually bagged himself a penalty. So the weekend really fell away from Oscar, and I feel kind of bad because he was quick. Honestly, through most of that, it was looking like he was faster than Lando. So had he not, been the victim of Lewis, and then just a clumsy move himself, he probably would have been, definitely would have been on for points. Might have actually even been able to get clear of Albon. But yeah, not a bad race. Like I said, it wasn't quite the banger in the mid pack that we've seen in other races this year. But like I said, the show between the two Ferraris, I think, more than made up for it. So now we go on, and I will say, I think I'm over it. I think I am over Max winning every week at this point. You know what,
Yes.
Red Bull, just sweep it.
Yay.
Just let's get it done and over with. Win every race. Go ahead. You wanna. So just, I guess this is the F1 equivalent of kind of putting me out of my misery. I can't say it's a result I want, but I have made peace with the fact that it probably will happen.
It's just disgusting to see that they've won almost every race this year's. Ugh, that's so.
Well, Max,
What was the
almost
gap
easy.
between first and second this week?
It was.
It wasn't 30 seconds.
No, it actually wasn't that much, in part because the Red Bulls got so mired because the Ferraris had superior straight line speed this week, which at Monza is kind of important. So I think it was only like the 9 seconds or so, 9 or 10 seconds.
Oh.
I didn't actually.
Run away.
Yeah, he didn't. Like I said, him and Sergio just spent so much time looking at the back of the Ferraris. Particularly looking at the back of Carlos's Ferrari, I guess I should point out that they didn't get the opportunity to get clear in 3 corners and then just vanish up the road. It was lap 15 or 16 when Max got around, and it wasn't until about halfway through the race. It was after the second set of stops that
was 6
Sergio,
seconds.
that Sergio got clear. Oh, okay. No, that was actually less than I thought it was. Okay. Which
And then Carlos was only 5 behind Sergio, so
yeah.
they really went away this time.
No, they didn't. Yeah, like I said, the Red Bull, well, it's one of those things when, the way Monza's laid out, kind of, we had a lot of folks who brought low drag specs, which nullifies the sort of, particularly the DRS advantage that the Red Bulls have had basically everywhere else. And, Ferrari was really out for blood this week. So they were certainly not going to let the Red Bulls go without a real fight. It's funny when they said they'd be competitive at Monza, after they stunk it up at Zandvoort. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But there actually was something to that this week. Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate Ferrari always showing up for their home race, short of how Mercedes always shows up for Silverstone, well, they try to anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But Ferrari will always find pace at Monza.
Oh yeah, always.
They won at the other track. What's the other one?
Oh,
The
Imola.
other race they race in Italy. Yeah, I hate Imola,
Mm-hmm.
but they'll show up for Monza.
Yeah, well, Imola,
dope.
Imola may have not have been a bad shot, but of course it got weathered out, so we'll never know. Imola this year is kind of the race that never was.
Right. Don't need another trophy in Max's trophy case. So
Yes, if Lando could break
I just
another one, that'd be
realized?
great.
No, I just lost the name of the Netflix show. I had it and I lost it.
Oh, what Drive
It's
to
going to be
Survive?
trash this year. Drive to Survive is going to be trash this year.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's just Max the entire time, the whole time. They need to go back to season 1. Just follow Danny Ricciardo everywhere. I think that'll be more of a telling story with Red Bull than just watching Max and his trophies.
This whole season sucks, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not been the most interesting season, and somebody else pointed out it's one of those things where when you have these big achievements, like the fact that Max has won 10 in a row, it's the backdrop of it is never particularly exciting. When Lewis became a Centurion and wins in poles, those objectively weren't particularly interesting season. Now we all love Mercedes, we love Lewis, so it's one of those things where we're like, okay, fine, whatever. None of us really care, but it's one of those kind of two-way street deals. When Michael Schumacher won his 7th title in 2004. 2004 honestly is still one of the least interesting seasons ever.
Facts.
But Lewis, that was a huge accomplishment in F1. So that's just, unfortunately, those are kind of the things we have to kind of grit our teeth and bear. And in 10 years and in 20 years, because we're almost 20 years on from Michael's last title, the kind of boring season thing will become a footnote, and it'll just be, yeah, you remember when Max won 10 in a row in 2023. Yeah, I see Monte shaking his head.
Hopefully, I still want Red Bull to blow up. They have a really great chance at Singapore. Hoping that happens so we can just move on and be happy. Let somebody else get a win for a change. Sometime, somewhere, somebody. Please, I'm begging you. Oh, they go to Qatar soon. I love Qatar. That's a great track.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, an interesting thing before we move on from the F1 chatter. Liam, in his first full weekend, second weekend of competition, is classified higher than both Daniel and Nick.
Ooh.
If I am, and I understand, the accident, at Zandvoort, it was either hit Piastri or hit the barriers. I understand that was rocking a hard place with that crash. However, given his recovery timeline, if Liam continues to excel, our boy, the Honey Badgers F1 comeback may have been extraordinarily short-lived.
Yeah, Homeboy was only 6 seconds out of the points.
Mm-hmm.
And 6 seconds was the margin of victory this week.
Yes.
Uh-oh. Hey, Danny, you might want to take that ESPN job they offered you, buddy boy, because I ain't looking too good.
Yeah, it's really not. And honestly, I think Liam would have scored points if he hadn't gotten clattered into by Piastri.
Can Danny come do a Project 91? Can somebody
I would
offer him come drive?
please.
He's not gonna have much else to do this season if
He's really not at the
judging
rate
the
he's
schedule.
going.
He might as well come on down, Playboy.
If he came in, he'd almost by default be the most charismatic driver in the garage by a mile.
Oh yeah,
compared to
absolutely.
80% of the cookie cutter personalities in Cup right now. So actually, I'm all on board for that now that I think about it. That's great. I love this. He might not, but I do.
Then he drove Earnhardt's car at Coda, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yeah, it was a part of a bet that he had
Yeah.
with Zach Brown.
Yeah, it's time.
Was that I think if he finished on the podium, then he could take out anything that Zach owned at Coda, and that was what he wanted.
And he won. That was during the race when Lando Norris was also on a podium too.
Yep.
It's time.
Yep. So come on to
Justin
NASCAR,
Marks,
old boy.
you know
We'd
what to
love to
do.
have you.
Give him a mic, and we're gonna do an SRX style and interview him during the race.
Oh, that'd be so great.
I feel like he'd do it too. That's the thing.
Oh, 100%. It's Daniel Ricciardo. He's not gonna turn that down. What do you mean? While we're on the subject of open wheel racing, let's give a shout out to Miles Rowe winning the USF Pro 2000 Championship. Golf clap. Black excellence. Golf clap. Golf clap. What's he do now, Bunte? Since he won, where's he drive next?
So he gets a scholarship
For
to
Danny.
yeah, I was gonna say don't he get like a scholarship to race next season to NX IndyCar next?
Yep, that is correct. As the winner of USF Pro 2000, he basically has a seat basically rubber stamped for him in Indy next. If he continues to exceed, now granted it is not a given because we saw that with Linus Lundqvist and Stingray Robb. That does not, even if he does well in Indy next, even if he wins the championship, that is not going to guarantee him a ride in IndyCar. Because then you start getting into funding and such, and personal backing, of which I don't know how much Miles has. It doesn't sound like it's a lot though. But yeah, he's basically got himself a guaranteed seat in Indy next. So now it's time to go there and go there and excel. It's funny. I didn't know that Will Power of all people was a early supporter for him, but that is very cool, and that'll certainly, if he does well in Indy next, that will really raise his stock in the IndyCar, the rookie driver market.
Well, look, Victory Lane Vibes can throw a smooth 2 Gs. I wonder how big a sticker does that get us on the car.
For real, man.
I'd hope a gigantic one for our sake.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Be a huge one.
I might have to divert. My partners would be a little mad. Might have to divert a little money out of the coffee business to get us a sticker on Miles's car.
Figure it out. So now since we're on the subject with Indy next, do they follow Indy's schedule? Do they run the same courses, or like an F1, like F3, F2, they run the same tracks, or?
Yeah.
Ew. We'll have something to look forward to next year. Miles, if you're listening, we'd love to interview you.
Yeah.
Jump in our DMs.
Yeah. Come on the show,
Come on
man.
down. Be the
Love
next
to have
test on The Price is Right.
All
right. Well, Darlington. James Allen Dennis, however many names this man has, he wins Xfinity. What did y'all think of the race? Sorry, Denny.
Just the slander from the jump.
Don't go by Denny if you got 5 names. That's all I'm saying. I want to call your government out sometime. You know what I'm saying?
I call him Zenny. That's his name. Nothing else.
Did you watch the race, Dante?
I have not. Been was busy all Saturday, but I did keep up with the highlights though. That man Denny, he's him at Darlington. Man. For some
He
reason,
kicked Trevor Bayne. I keep on Tyler. Trevor Bayne out the car this week. So I guess he knew he was trophy hunting like colleagues supposed to be. That's awkward.
I guess so. And then Kyle Larson was also in the race. He ended up having, I think, like engine issues early on in the race. Yep, he had engine issues, which shocked me. So I'm like, great. I'm not sure I'd be like that, but it was kind of surprising in my opinion. But overall, Denny's got the win. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, I really liked watching him, Austin Hill, and John Hunter. They had like a really tight 3-car battle late in the race. Austin Hill, I think, just got into a bit too deep waters going against Denny at Darlington. That's one of his best tracks. So, came up short there, but I think it was a good, solid race. I did also like the fact that Denny did race those full-time Xfinity guys pretty cleanly. There's been a lot of talk about the Cup guys going down to the Xfinity level and quote unquote racing them too hard or potentially fencing them or costing them a good finish. And he definitely didn't do that. So he was on his best behavior. He was good, Denny, on Saturday.
Yeah, from 17th in practice to winning. Danny, what you think?
Yeah, like I said, not super surprised that Denny got it. As it already been mentioned, Denny has always been quick at Darlington. That is just one of his circuits. But yeah, no, he raced pretty cleanly, which was nice. Like I said, it is nice to see. I am of the opinion that yes, the Cup guys can get, just a bit aggressive, and I understand, the Cup guys, broadly speaking, they're going to be faster than the Xfinity guys, but yeah, watching them just run over the Xfinity regulars and leave a lot of those guys with nothing to show but a wadded up race car. It's like, Jesus Christ. It's like, okay, yeah, I know you're that guy, but we all know you're that guy. You don't need to, be sitting here acting up. It's like beating up the kids in the sandbox as a 30-year-old.
Right. Like, what really do you have to prove? Like, you can win without stuffing their face in the sand.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, why?
Well, speaking of beating up people, you segue to the next point.
Oh.
Sam Mayer beating up on Parker Kligerman.
I mean, at least he admitted that he messed up on it, but like, bruh.
Yeah, I don't think Parker wants to hear none of that.
No, Parker.
Of course not.
No, I could definitely tell Parker was pissed because
man.
Yeah, because Parker trying to get into the playoffs because I think it's him and Riley Hurst is -1 above and below the cut line. So he trying to get some points, especially when it's one race left for Xfinity before the playoffs.
Yeah, and that spin, I mean, that cost him at least 10, 15 spots, I feel like. Like he was running in top 15. And I think he really had to come back and rally late to get some spots to try to mitigate the damage. But yeah, I feel like if you look at it, it definitely didn't look intentional. But if you're Parker, you're like, I don't care. Like, I hate you. I want you to die. You better hope I make this next round, or I'm going to go Ryan Newman on you in one of these races and just make my car 3 lanes wide.
Yeah, Sam Mayer is he trying to become the new villain? I feel like he's always in some altercations towards the end of the race, and he has to get a camera and a microphone shoved in his face in post race interviews to see if he's gonna cop to what he did.
I mean, he's got the most, well, not the most screen time, but he gets plenty of screen time. I mean, at least that he's now getting attention for things other than accidents in fights this year, right? He's got a pair of wins, I think. But like, yeah, it seems like he might be one of those people that just like action or drama, depending on your perspective, just follows you. I feel like Denny can be a bit like that, where it's like no matter what, you're going to end up with some kind of situation post race where somebody's upset.
Yeah, that's just foolishness. It was interesting listening to Action Detrimental this morning, saying how for Denny, how it truly is difficult to drive the Xfinity car compared to the Cup car, and saying that they're a lot more aero dependent. Like you can play more with the air to either loosen or tighten the drivers around you. I think it's kind of interesting how each level of NASCAR, each series in the vehicle that they use, there's different advantages and disadvantages to how you can pass somebody. I think that's interesting that there's still so much science and actually racecraft when it comes to driving stock cars. People say all they do is go in circles. Disrespectful. Moving to Sunday, the Cup drivers were at Darlington as well. Denny had the race until he didn't, and Kyle Larson drove away victorious, automatically advancing himself to the round of 12. How was the Cup race?
It was actually not that bad, even though I went to the grocery store around like stage 1. But I did keep up with the race though. Overall, race was pretty cool. Playoff drivers having issues, of course, never fails. Y'all know how Darlington playoff drivers is. Never fails. Bell pretty much ended his race bad, with, hitting the wall at the end of stage 1. Broke the polling, but tried to bounce back a little bit. Surprisingly, Ross Chastain had like a top 20 car, ended up finishing 5th, so good rebound. Yeah, I think it was 5th. Who else? Joey Logano, Bubba Wallace at the end of stage 1. Bubba got into Joey. No, raced a little hard. I ain't think he was doing the intentional one of that. Bubba spins. We'll get to Bubba in a second. Joey Logano also had like car issues with the towing and stuff issues too. But in rebounding to finish 12th. Kyle Larson drove away. Before I finished, Kyle Larson drove away. Kevin Harvick, man, what, man? Tyler Reddick with the whole Ryan Newman issue. I don't know what Tyler was doing. I'm assuming he's trying to get in the pit, trying to get in the pit road, but Ryan Newman said no, and Ryan Newman must have thought that. I don't know, but like that caused a spin. Pretty much ended Harvick's day because he keep in mind he can't go in the pit wait because caution came out. He did and pretty much ruined his race. But like Tyler could have kept up with Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson just drove away, and then Bubba. What man! I had never seen that. Let me stop that. The rebound from Bubba has been fantastic, man. From a spin, having pit issues to finish 7th, and might as well on the cut line. Let us see it, man. I told you he's gonna do some big things in the playoffs. Be serious about that. Oh, he's for real. Especially when Kansas coming up this Sunday. We serious. Overall, I get the race like a B-.
All right, before I let Art jump in, I just want to bring up a point that you made, Bonte. They did all this stuff to make the car more durable. But these toe links are made of
Paper mache.
popsicle
literally,
sticks.
right? Like the most weakest toiling I've ever seen in my life. Like how because ain't the car composite bodies, right?
Yes.
But every time I hit the wall, the tolling break. Like make it make sense. Like come on, man. I hope there's a chance for Nation car, but my God, these tone links are super fragile.
Yeah, I mean,
Go
I
ahead,
think
Art.
I was gonna say, I think my biggest problem with the toe links is like it's been a problem for 2 years now. It isn't like this is something that just started this year. When the next gen car started, the big issues were the toe links and tires falling off. Well, they seem like they
And
fixed the
death.
tire issue, but
Don't forget
the
death.
whole yeah, but the toe link issue is still a problem, and I don't understand. Like I watched a lot of NASCAR in my
I,
life. Prior to the next gen, I could probably count on one hand the number of times I heard toe link mentioned. So like
wait, Art,
something
I'm sorry.
substantial had, yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off, bro. And then another thing that actually kind of fixes the crumble issue. Remember they had the whole crumble issue that the car wasn't re-crumble because the way how the hits impact the cars last season. Because Alex Bowman got a concussion. That's when Kurt Busch had to retire due to that crash. Him having a concussion. The Nation car is not crumbling. The Nation car had a lot of issues, but. You go ahead, finish. My bad, man.
Yeah, I think my biggest issue is just that the toe link has been a problem, and in all the time that I've watched NASCAR, I think before the next gen, I probably heard toe link mentioned less than 10 times, and now it's almost a bi-weekly problem. So I really hope, when we talked about on here before about next gen 2.0, and I really hope they, I don't know, surround it with some steel casing or something. I don't know what you have to do to fix it, but like just make it tougher, more durable, figure something out, because the car will look perfectly fine. You look at the car and you're like, that should be a suitable race car. And then the wheels are just completely tore up because of this toe link issue. So hope they get that fixed soon. But for me, I really, really love Darlington. It might be, in my opinion, like the most perfect quintessential NASCAR track. This weekend is one of my favorite of the season, right up there with like the 500, the Talladega weeks, Fall Martinsville. Like it is one of my favorite races just because of the stakes, the pressure, the track, the fact that it goes from day to night. I'm always a big fan of tracks that transition from day to night. I just think it's really cool to see how the track adjusts and if the crews can keep up with it. So I went into this race with a lot of high hopes and expectations, and for the most part, it really did deliver. There was a lot that happened. We've talked earlier about the playoff driver misfortune, which is something that happens every year. And I think we talked about this last week that, for like a team like Bubba, you just have to survive these first couple of weeks, and guys will eliminate themselves. And you definitely saw folks try to do that this week. McDowell, Stenhouse kind of rebounded, but he had a rough day. Bell really shot himself in the foot this weekend. A lot of guys just really, really struggled. So from that regard, it was exactly what I wanted. We had a lot of drama between Harvick, Newman, Reddick, that whole kerfluffle. We had the Bowman Suarez incident, which was just people, driving way over their head, over their skis. And, then we had Denny too, like losing the race on a own goal almost. Like you have the car to beat, you're one of the best guys at the track, and you think you have a tire going down or a loose tire, and then you don't, which is just a backbreaker of a mistake. Like if he's not racing in Phoenix, like he will agonize over that for the whole off season. So overall, I was really happy with it. I think we're gonna touch on the points here in 23's 11's performance in a minute, but just overall, it was exactly what I really wanted from this race. I really love the fact that you could feel that there was pressure on the team, which is what you want to see as a fan. You saw Bell's crew. They were this week's lights too bright. They had several bad stops, and they were supposed to be, Grandpa Gibbs' all-star crew, and they let the boy down several times. So that's exactly what I want. I think the only small negative I have for the race is just that, Jared talked about how cars can be aero dependent, and I felt like late in the race, like those top four, no matter what they tried, if you were in the lead and had clean air, there was just no chance of you passing them. And we've seen that issue with this car a lot, and even at times with the previous car as well. But maybe that's a horsepower solution at some point. But I just felt like they could never really challenge whoever was in the lead just because they have that clean air. And I would like to see a driver be able to wheel their way back up there at some point. But outside of that, those last 10, 15 laps were still interesting, but you just felt like they were kind of running on rails at that point. But outside of that, it was a great race for me. I was very happy with it.
Yeah, it's like yay tire fall off. Darlington needs tires, but I could use another 100 horsepower. Honestly, like let's get fun. It's Darlington. Like everybody's, well, I shouldn't say everybody's. My favorite Darlington finish is Ricky Craven and Kurt Busch, like killing each other coming to the line. That's awesome. We should have more of that. Give them 900 horsepower again. What you think?
Yeah, if these are supposed to be the best drivers in the world, which is what the marketing says, that's what everyone says, then they should be able to handle the extra horsepower. There's no reason that I should be able to go buy a car that's got comparative horsepower off the lot to a stock car that's a race car. So, we've heard the arguments before about how the reason they don't change the horsepower is to hopefully lure in a new manufacturer. But I've been hearing that argument for, I feel like 10 years now, and no new manufacturers are walking through that door, like Ferrari's not coming to NASCAR, Buick's not coming to NASCAR. So maybe just circle around the ones that you got and just give the fans what they want in this case. Like, you can't tell me it's not possible. We've already done this before as a sport. So let's just go back to what we once had.
Yeah, it's funny, it's especially, I guess at this point, about 15 years ago, I felt like almost annual rumors that either Volkswagen or Honda would bite and would join the sport, and it is still massively disappointing that they haven't, especially as a bit of a Volkswagen Group fangirl. But anyway, Darlington was Darlington. So, we've already had, sort of the proper race recap. So I'm going to get sort of stuck into the details a little bit here. But a couple of things. One, what in the absolute sweet Christ was that mix up with Tyler and Ryan? Like, what on earth?
I'm still trying to think about that too.
Yeah, it's like, did Tyler get the call to box uber late? I mean, of course, because, Tyler is, occasionally, races like a 13-year-old. He went, okay. And then,
Right.
stood on the brakes to try to get down to the pit straight. It's like,
yeah,
just
yeah.
go ahead. What's up, Monte?
I was about to say, y'all know, keep in mind, Ryan Newman don't pass for nothing. Like that man is extremely hard to pass.
I was just about to say, is that the other thing? Well, did Tyler just completely run out of patience with getting stuck behind Ryan for, 15 laps and said, okay, we'll have a little bit of this, old man?
Danny, what I think happened was that they knew that if Harvick pitted a lap before them, he was going to undercut. He'd come out ahead of them. And so they probably were expecting the four to at least run another lap or two based on like some of the previous runs, or maybe that's just their prediction. And so like Harvick makes that move late onto pit road. And so spotter, crew chief, someone's yelling probably in Tyler's ear saying the four's pitting, pit. And if you think back, Tyler's done this before. Like
Yeah.
he is not the smoothest entry to pit road man on the grid. Like he's done. It happened at Charlotte. I want to say it's happened at Talladega. Like, and hey, man, it happens. Like nobody's perfect, but like he's had a few of these instances where it's just like, yeah, kind of overcooked that one. And so like he just bailed trying to make, even though, yeah, like you said, like he'd already passed the box. Like it is physically impossible unless he did 2 180-degree turns, like 2 hairpin turns to go back and get down pit road. Like there's no way he was ever going to make it. And he really got bailed out by Newman because he would have lost a ton of time and he would not have finished anywhere close to where he would have, because he would have been super slow. He would have overshot it, had to get back up to speed. Meanwhile, the 4 is already on pit roads getting their service. So like it worked. That was a case of like, I failed successfully, right? Like I really messed up, but I've now screwed the 4 and I've got a caution. I can come down now instead of being in the green. But it was just wild. Like I'm not a huge Ryan Newman fan. So at first I was like, oh, look at this idiot. Like what's he doing? Get him off the track. Like he lost his mind. But then I was like, oh wait, this isn't your fault. Like he just slammed on the brakes. Like I can't be mad at you for this.
Yeah, no, I did the exact same thing. I tweeted something to the effect of "What on earth was that, Newman?" And then I was like, "Oh, wait, no, never mind. I think that was in response to whatever Tyler was trying to do there." And I was just like, "That is one hell of an Uno reverse card there to get that to work as beautifully as it did."
Yeah.
Because, of course, pit's closed. So, Kevin was completely stuffed. And there was just nothing he could do because pits were closed for service. And, Tyler got to continue on sort of as usual. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then
sorry, go ahead.
While you're right there, so why did they pit if they knew the caution came out?
I think it was
Why
too
didn't you
late.
just keep straight?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess since they were already in the pits, they just said.
Yeah, I think I could be wrong, but I think they kind of panicked and just said, "Oh well, we're already here." Like maybe they misinterpreted the rules, thinking that like, "Oh, we're already on pit road, so we can complete the stop." The right play would have been to just drive through the box and blend out, or drive through pit road and blend in, and they probably would have blended back in like the top 5 because the field was a little bit spread out at the time, and then just pitted under yellow. But if they were in the box when the yellow went off, then they could have serviced it and then cycled to the lead. And I bet that's what they were hoping would happen, but they weren't in the box. They were still coming down pit road. Like they were way late. That was never going to happen. So I was thinking the same thing too. I was like, just abort the call and just keep driving, don't speed and you'll just blend back. But for whatever reason, they just decided to go ahead and take the pit stop. And I mean, they were doomed after that. They never had a chance. But that's what I think happened. That's my guess. But yeah, if they had just driven through, I feel like they would have been a much better shot. Like may have lost a couple spots, but like you're better off than being, tail end of the line.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was absolutely baffling. And speaking of baffling things, Bonte had mentioned it all. Bonte, and actually, I think you too, Arthur, had mentioned it already, but that whole dust up with Alex and Daniel, it's like, my God.
Oh my God. I like Alex Bowman, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. But that move was stupid as hell.
Yeah, I completely agree. I do too. I have a soft spot for Alex. One of my best friends is a huge Alex Bowman fan. So, just sort of via osmosis, I have by proxy I've kept up with Bowman. But yes, fine. The first block, all right, fine, whatever. It's still kind of silly, but it's like, okay, because I mean, Suarez is clearly faster. It's like, okay, he's gonna get around you, and you both are gonna just hemorrhage stacks of time doing this, but whatever. And then he moves back up the circuit. Like, well, why in the hell did you do that? And then, I was saying in the the group chat, Suarez is just not lifting. It's like, okay, well, you can play that game, and then that's how you end up with both of them, in the wall and out of the race, and then this, back and forth spat thing, 99 always does dumb stuff. I mean, Daniel is, aggressive, sure. I mean, truth be told, a lot of these, I, Jesus Christ, I sound so old, but modern drivers, are super aggressive, but I'm like, but Daniel is not objectively or frankly subjectively a menace on track. Certainly not the way Ross periodically has been. I'm like, it's like, so I think there's some weird behind the scenes beef there that we are all unaware of. And saying that Travis Mack flips him off, and then Travis is like, "What are you talking about?" No, I don't on Twitter. I don't know what's going on there. I think, you know, I think I'm gonna be honest. I think missing bits of the season. I think it's getting to the HMS boys because Chase was acting kind of wild, and that was how he got a week vacation with Denny. And then of course he's made lots of unfortunate, and Alex has kind of been doing the same thing. And it wouldn't surprise me if Alex particularly, because again, I like Alex and the Roman fans listening, but Alex has been objectively the weakest Hendrick car. And I mean, granted, a weak Hendrick car is still a pretty fast car week on week if you're just doing law of averages, let's be honest, but he is the slowest. So it wouldn't surprise somewhere in there, maybe if he's on the hot seat a little bit, and we're watching kind of a manifestation of that on track, which of course this doesn't help his case at all, because that frankly just looks like an idiot in front of everybody. But
Right.
yeah,
I mean, I agree. Like, I think, this has been a season to forget if you're Bowman. And, it's hard to think back to him leading the points, in the first quarter of the season and running really well. Chase was struggling or out. The 5 had, I think, some wins, but they, weren't lighting the world on fire. 24 was still trying to find their footing. But like Bowman was leading the points for a couple weeks. He was a threat before his injury. And so to miss a month of the season and then to have the injury that he had, you have to think that like he's not at 100%, like anywhere close to 100%. And so like, not only are you now frustrated, but you're in pain and you have to go do this very physically demanding job. And if he and the 99 have had issues in the past, I can see why you're just like, you know what? Today's the day. Like I put my foot in the ground and then like, I will not move. And like, it was a dumb time to do it. And, on the flip side for Daniel, like he's got to be frustrated too, right? Last year has a win, playoffs. And then this year, not really a threat most weeks. He's not had a great season. And, we can talk about Chastain, but at least he got a win, made sure he was in the playoffs, gave himself a puncher's chance to compete for the title. And, Daniel really wasn't a threat and then faded down the stretch, coming to the playoffs and did not run well at all for the most part. And so like, that's another guy who's like probably very, very frustrated, probably doesn't want to be in the car right now. Like the last thing these two dudes probably want to be doing is racing. I'm sure they'd love to just have their seasons be over and they could just like decompress and come back next season. But like, that's not a luxury they have. And so that's just like a recipe for disaster, right? And so, yeah, it's a case where like you're both wrong, but it's like 55-45 in terms of blame. I feel like like there wasn't a clear-cut instigator or person who clearly should have been punished for it. And then also just as a sidebar, like I saw some dummies on Twitter saying, oh, maybe they should look into suspending Suarez for like right hooking him. Like, come on, guys. Like, that's not at the same level, in my opinion, of like Denny getting right hooked.
Just getting overboard or something for no reason.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you just had two really frustrated guys who, it's late in the race. You've been there a long time. It's hot. You're tired. You hate racing right now. And it's obviously they have a history, like you said. So, I look forward to seeing them next week. I hope they're around each other because it'll make for very exciting TV.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then I guess kind of last thing is, silly things. What on earth was going on with Cindric? We saw, I guess what was that early first stint in stage 3. I saw him, on the broadcast. He was bouncing off Bubba's door, and I'm like, what on earth is going on here? Granted, Bubba had been kind of aggressive there all day, so I was like, okay, well maybe it's something to do with that. But he's just ping ponging off Bubba's driver's door. I'm like, Austin, what are you doing? And then 3 laps later, he's sideways with Ty Gibbs pushing him up the circuit. And the broadcast never did show where that started, but I would be very interested to know, again, broken car. 'Cause, by this point, folks had been earning their Darlington stripes, and so they bounced off the wall a few times. We were just talking about toe links. So did he have a hurt car? And it's like, what? Because watching that, because I'm like, oh god, I was like, he's gonna wreck Bubba. I'm like, okay, Bubba, let him go. And I mean, to be fair, he did. He did let him go, because that's how he took out, because Ty was a few places in front of him, and that's how they got together.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's been a bit of a dart with no feathers a few races this year. Like, he's one of those guys who every fourth or fifth race are just like, I do not want my guy around him. Like, I do not trust him to race normally, and he definitely showed that, this weekend.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to Ty for getting wrecked and just not lifting and just driving him from the top lane down to the apron. It's like, I'm not going to break. I'm just going to let you sit here for 10 seconds and think about what you've done. And then I'll hit the brake after we've wrecked as much as we possibly could wreck.
Yeah, I say, speaking of potentially another kind of frustrated driver this week, because of course he just missed it when he got caught up in that huge melee at Daytona last week. He missed his opportunity at either winning or even just pointing his way into the playoffs. So he's probably another one who's like, can we go home, please?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like I said, just some kind of, racing was good, but it honestly kind of in typical Darlington fashion, you just, get drivers just occasionally make some very baffling decisions. It's like, okay, what are you doing? Why are we doing any of this? And then, everybody kind of figures it out and then you move on.
It's like Darlington's sort of the perfect storm. We gave praise last week about how Daytona's the perfect regular season ending race because chaos, you don't know what's going to happen. The NASCAR's already bet, I'm going to give you 500 miles of attrition, and let's see if you are mentally tough enough to survive here. There's definitely still some Trackhouse Hendrick beef.
Mm-hmm.
Just pulling back some of the words that Suarez said in his interview, like, "Oh, you're supposed to be our Chevy partner. Why would you do that?" Clearly, they're still feeling some salts about the whole Chastain incident. I'm not surprised if Daniel Suarez wrecks Bowman this week at Kansas and pretends like he doesn't know what happened. I feel like they're definitely at a war of words. Justin Marks, with his success, is definitely he has some strings that can be pulled over there at the Chevrolet office. So I'm not surprised by the outcome of these events myself. So we'll get to Kansas in a second. We'll get there. 2311 corner. The 2311 cars both got top 10s this week. Tyler tried as hard as he could to catch Kyle Larson, but he just couldn't do it. He got P2 with the UNC car, which was good enough. Bubba Wallace had another amazing yay from the back to the front to the back and back up front again, finishing 7th. I was hoping he was held on the 5th, but the car got away from him in the closing laps. But great showing out of the Toyotas of 2311. Bubba's had a huge points day, even though he didn't get any stage points. He's only 1 point out of the 12th place spot. How would you grade, the boys?
A B plus. Because the finishes was amazing. Bubba literally up there. I'll tell you this now. If Bubba makes it to the round of 12, I'm gonna laugh at every last one of y'all who got him out in the first round. Just saying. Number 2, even though he had pit issues, came back and finished. Came back and got like a top 10. But and it spin too. Like, let's get like some snaps or some clap for Bubba to rebound from a spin to a top 10. Especially when this is his first ever playoff debut. Yes, sir. You let us see it. Tyler, I want him to win, but fortunately, he couldn't compete with Kyle Larson. Unfortunately, you hate to see it, but overall for him, a fantastic day for him, especially top 5 all day. Led a lot of laps too. Speed, he's very good, Darcy. Very very good. Yeah. Looking forward to Kansas. No.
Artois.
Yes, I'll give Reddick an A. I think, yeah, an A. He got the second most points on the day. So, like, that's as good as you could really hope for outside of a win. And he, like we said, he backdoored his way into some success he probably shouldn't have gotten. So, like, you take that, especially in the playoffs. For Bubba, I would give him, I'd say, a B plus, because there were a lot of mistakes made in the first half of the race, and if 2021 Bubba Wallace, 2022 Bubba Wallace is in that situation, he probably finishes like 30th, like 2 laps down, or like DNFs the car because he overdrove it too hard. But to his credit, and we've talked about it on here before, like, he's really maturing as a driver. Recognize, hey, I made these mistakes. I just got to lock in and focus and execute in the second half of the race. And they got lucky with a caution and were able to flip the stage and get some track position. And they were able to hang on, getting that top 10. I think, they were P5 with like 5 to go. And I think he was just on older tires than, I believe it was Ross and Brad. And if he had even tires, he's probably getting a top 5. But on the flip side, if he had pitted with them, he wouldn't have had the track position. So you'll take it what you can get. But yeah, like, didn't love the spin, right? That was kind of unnecessary. You're coming to the stage caution, battling for like 12th. Like, you're not going to get stage points. And then was long in the box, which caused a long stop. We give the pit crews so much grief almost every week, and this is the one time, like, it's not their fault. Like, I give them credit. Like, you can't help that. But the recovery is what gets him all the credit and all the praise from me, because, like I said, in the past, this would have been a dismal finish, and Kansas would have been must-win territory. Instead, comes back, rallies, gets a good finish, -1 on the cut line. Like, I feel really confident going into Kansas that he can leapfrog some of these guys if they can just get some stage points. They had this allergic reaction to stage points the first half of the season. Then in the summer, they were like, oh, crap, these are kind of important. Maybe we should start getting some of these. And now in the playoffs, they're like, yeah, we don't need stage points. We're not going to worry about those. So hopefully they can get those going. And if they can do that, I'm really confident they'll leave Kansas above the cut line. So overall, a great day for both of them. I think Bubba was a little hard on himself in the interview post-race from what I heard. I didn't see it, but they should be really proud of the mental toughness, the mental fortitude, that some folks in the media said he was lacking, and that he was able to show and get get a
It
good
was
finish on a day a lot of guys really struggled, you know, not making a bad day worse. Which you saw with like McDowell had trouble, Denny had trouble, Harvick we talked about, Stenhouse had trouble, like just surviving and getting a good finish. That's all you need in this first round. And so he definitely checked that box. And so, get the first one out the way. Now let's be greedy. We're going to Kansas. Let's go hungry, coming for a full plate, and hopefully, get some trophies out of it.
I was gonna say that Arthur, when he was saying he was smiling during media after the race, which is true because him and Tyler was having like a laugh, and I like that team. I like that teammate chemistry between them two. But overall, I am hella confident for Kansas. Like I'm not even worried about Kansas because I know he'll do great at, because that's literally one of his best tracks.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to execute. You can't assume that you're gonna roll in there and get a win.
Well, of
Uh,
course,
but
of
I
course.
agree. Like they should, as the 23 team and 23XI as an organization, they should be really, really confident, and they should feel like, hey, we're a threat this week, especially. Like we're not chasing after someone. Like everyone in the garage knows this is a place we can come in and dominate and win. And hopefully they go into the race with that type of confidence, and just feel like they can be on offense. Because I feel like for a lot of the summer stretch, especially for the 23, right, they were just trying to get points, just struggling to get points wherever they could. And you can't really be aggressive if you're playing it a bit more conservatively. So like now I hope they can be like, all right, let's flex on these guys a little bit and show them what we can do.
Yeah, so I guess my grading, these are always so tough to do. If I'm being just brutally objective, um, then for me, Tyler would probably be like a B, because that whole getting super phased by, the at least the prospect of Harvick undercut. It's like, okay, holy smokes, what is this? Now granted, I guess I guess they were successful, much like you said, they failed successfully. So I guess, with that little bit of additional context, all's well that ends well, better lucky than good. So, it probably is like a B, B plus, A minus, in actuality. Would have been cool to see him, maybe catch Kyle. But, they came away with basically as much points as you can get without winning the thing. So, you can't really ask for too much better. But I'm actually gonna be a little bullish here, and I know a lot of you have graded Bubba a little bit lower, but I honestly think it was a great day. He made some mistakes early. And it, certainly was not optimal. Banging doors with Keselowski at the end of. Or sorry, Logano. Still think Keselowski's at Penske. Banging doors with Logano at the end of stage one was not wise. And same thing being a little long in the box. But much like you said, any other time that something like this would have happened, it would have been 3 laps down, or crashed out. Bubba stopped. He said, on the radio, he was like, my bad. And he refocused, he got it together. And they constantly worked on the car, to get it to where he, felt like he could drive it and run quickly. And, we walked away with a top 10. There really is not that long ago that this would have been just a perfect storm of circumstances to take what should be a decent day and have it absolutely go to pot. And the 23 team, just broadly was able to avoid falling into that trap. And I think a lot of it goes to Bubba, because they'd be working trying to get him calmed down, usually unsuccessfully. And and just making, lots of just silly mistakes, and he didn't do that. this has been, we like I said, we've talked about it week in, week out. I don't feel the need to really beat this horse, but this has been for Bubba and his evolution as a driver this year has been huge for that. And it is absolutely wonderful to see, no doubt. But if we're being brutally honest, this is not the same man that was in this car a calendar year ago. It really isn't. And like I said, I love it. I think this is absolutely wonderful, but the difference is so stark. And that is what makes the day on, on weekends like Darlington, rolled off 18th, had kind of a rough go of it the first half, but they chipped away at it and walked away with a decent points haul. And that's what you're supposed to do. That's what all the other, frankly, good teams, fast guys, that's what they do. And that's what they should be doing. So, no, I give Bubba an A for the day. I think, he worked at it, and this was, like I said, he proved, his fortitude as a driver to come away. I do think he was a little rough on himself, and I know he definitely felt bad about the door banging with Logano at the end of stage 1. I know he did. And that's certainly good. And I think for him to recognize that and go and apologize is fantastic. Because, yeah, making enemies out of guys in playoffs is the absolute last thing you need. Because then that's how they race you hard and, for every last bit of track position when y'all are together. And then that's how, those days end in tears. So no, I think all in all a good day. Now let's see if we can carry that through and through into Kansas. So take us away, my wonderful narrator.
Yeah, it's we've said it the entire time before we started the show. Now that we have the show, Bubba's not the problem. Everybody was losing their minds when the spin happened. Stage 1 at Darlington. It's a really long race. We got hours left. Just let him cook. And once again, he cooks. He accepts, responsibility for his actions, and he does something about it. He bounces back and he finishes top 10, gains points, gains over the cut line, almost. Capitalizes on all of his other playoff drivers' mistakes, and he's right there. So I don't have anything bad to say about Darlington or about his performance. He's showing everybody what we've already known. That's probably the best way to summarize that. We've known the work ethic he has. We know the drive he has. We know the determination he has. Everybody else in NASCAR media is just asleep, and they're just starting to wake up to it. So get the boogies out your eyes. It's time for you to wake up and see this pot that he's cooking up. We're gonna touch on some announcements were made today. Denny Hamlin has seemingly signed a extension to stay with Joe Gibbs Racing through 2025, making him a 20-year honorary member down at the shop. I don't know if it was scripted or not, but it's kind of cool that he announced it on his podcast. And with that also ties up 23XI's contract negotiations. They are now also solidified and staying with Toyota. So I feel like that's good. That's what everybody wanted. As much as we tried to, hype up the Ford train, rather them stay with Toyota. Me personally, rather that deal stayed there. Harrison Burton got re-signed.
Yeah,
he's staying with Rudd Brothers / Penske in their unofficially official fourth car. I'm shocked by that. No, I take that back. He was running really, really well before he got caught up in Suarez and Bowman's mess Sunday. He was running top 15. He had a really great race. That boy deserves a good finish and not being caught up in mess. But I'm still kind of shocked that he got extended.
All right. I'm shocked too.
I mean, you look at the 21, and I was not shocked, but surprised, I guess. Like, you don't, I can't think of, a standout performance out of Harrison Burton since he's arrived. I think the one thing I remember most about Harrison is him flipping at Daytona, his first cup race. And after that, like, there's nothing that's been like a huge standout. But I mean, maybe we've talked offline about maybe this is like his last year as a chance to like show and prove himself. Now he'll have 3 years with the next gen car, I guess. But I don't know. I wasn't excited by it.
Sorry. This is his first Cup race as his rookie season, but he was in the Cup Series in 2021.
Yeah, I just don't think anything about Harrison excites me right now. Like, you just haven't seen that growth, that progression as a driver. I mean, yes, to Jared's point, like, he definitely had a good run. Or was having a good run at Darlington, but I can't remember any other weeks where you see the 21, you're like, oh, hey, look at that. The 21's in 8th to 12th place. Like, there haven't been a lot of runs like that. And so, there's a lot of moving parts to these deals that we don't know about or never know about, whether it's sponsorship, funding, whatever the case may be. And, to me, it's just like, okay, the 21 is just one of those cars that right now it's just a field filler, right? Like, they're out there, they're running, they're doing their best, but they're never a threat for a win. And so until something changes, like, that's just how I personally view them. I mean, I'd love to see every car in the field be competitive, but we know there's just cars out there that just are not going to be a contender for the win or to be competitive in a race. And right now, that's just how that car's been for a while. I mean, some of that may not be Harrison's fault. It's not like that car has been lighting the world on fire before he got in it, but I don't know. I think it might be both the car and the driver aren't great at this point. So I don't know. I see that being a reason to change it, but if they want to ride it out, ride it out.
Didn't they steal him from Toyota?
Yes,
Wasn't he a Toyota driver before he signed the deal to go to the 21?
He was with JGR during that time. And,
because Brad leaving messed up who got in that car, if I remember that story
that's
correctly,
true,
right?
because Austin Century was going to be in the 21 car in 2021. But when Brad left,
they called it an audible.
Yeah, pretty much like that.
Go ahead, Danny. My bad. I just had to get that thought out.
Oh no, it's all good. But yeah, no, I guess like I said, in some ways it is certainly a little surprising. I figured they would probably move on from the Burton experiment. Which I mean, granted that's slightly uncharitable, but yeah, no, like I said, Harrison, and that's really just the big thing is that we have yet to see Harrison take that, make, where I just talked about the sort of the big, evolutionary leap that Bubba has made. We have yet to really see that from Harrison. Granted, he's young. He's, this is, second full season. So there is still plenty of time for us to see that. But, it's like, okay, well, how much time are they going to give him? I'm glad to see that they're willing to, stick with him and, frankly, let him grow up a bit. And who knows, maybe Darlington was that first step before he got, caught up in the ween measuring contest that Suarez and Bowman were having. So I don't know. Maybe that was the step, and we'll see something. See it at Kansas. I don't know, but yeah, no, certainly the 21 is not a particularly quick car and hasn't been for quite some time. And at least all signs point to Harrison not necessarily being that guy either. But Wood brothers seem to be content to stick by him. So I mean, hey, what do I know? But also, actually, from what I understand, Harrison brings a fair bit of personal backing. Yes, Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
he got a bag. He got a couple
Uh-huh.
bags.
Daddy's money is long. Don't y'all ever forget that.
Yeah,
That money is
exactly.
long. He
So
ain't Ward's son now. He Jeff's son.
yeah, so that's probably part of it too. Why they're content to leave him in the car is because it basically Harrison is funding his own career.
I mean, like in all seriousness though, if I had a young driver and there's a brand new car, wouldn't the smartest thing to do would put a young person in there to learn how to do it, get acclimated with it? You don't really have a high, expectations on them just yet. Everybody's figuring out the car. Why not put somebody young in it who will get better with the car as the rest of the field does? And then gear 3, gear 3.5, gear 4, he starts making noise and getting it cracking. So, if it sounded like we were slandering him, we weren't. It's just that I didn't A, know that the seat was available, and B, his resigning was really random. But I'm glad that he has a seat, confirmed seat soon. As we learned a few weeks ago, Jordan Bianchi never wrong. It's just when everybody else want to fess up to what he knows. And with that, let's look ahead to Kansas. All 3 series are in Kansas. I already alluded to this on the Twitter account. Raj is winning the truck race Friday night. Tune in to watch. His burn down is going to be fantastic. He had a similar snafu like the Bowman Suarez incident at Darlington. I forget who it was he got tangled up with, but that truck was a rocket. And I feel like he's learned from his mistakes. He's going to drive away from the field, outclass his teammates, and he's going to win. So you got winning trucks.
I mean, how's it possible to pick somebody else after that endorsement, right? Like my
That's kind of
heart,
fire, right?
my heart, of course, will say Raja. If I have to pick someone else, I don't know. Maybe Ty Majeski's got another, cheated up truck, and like
Oh,
he can do
he
something.
does.
Like maybe he got an extra 100 horsepower under there somewhere. I don't know. I like Zane Smith too. Like, sure, let's go with Zane. That'll be my pick. That's a complete blindfolded throw at the dartboard.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Like I said, it's tough, especially after last year to not have Raja up there because he was fast. Again, if you're asking me to pick somebody else, yeah, like I said, who knows? Because even after the penalty, Ty, it really hasn't slowed Ty down as all that much. So it's like, so whatever NASCAR found, I don't think was the problem. So Ty, I think is always in with a shot.
Like what Jared said, that boy Roger's gonna maybe come through. But out of my dark horse pick, I'll have Zane Smith getting the dub from Kansas. It's Xfinity at Kansas too.
Yeah, baby. All the vehicles are in Kansas.
Oh, everybody. Okay. Bring it home, Sammy Smith. Bring it home, man.
Is he running this weekend?
He's full time, dude.
Is he?
Yes.
Oh, damn. I thought he was still in ARCA running a part-time schedule. That's terrible.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Now let's see how much the editors like you if they'll keep this in or not.
All right. He won Phoenix this year. He in the playoffs. Oh my God.
My bad. Yeah, we're going. Go ahead, cut that. Ari, you got for Xfinity?
First of all, leave it in. Thank you very much. I don't know. I know that's a terrible answer to give. I feel like I pick Brandon Jones like every other week, and he never does anything to like fulfill that
Is he
hope.
going to show up?
I mean,
he got all that money.
I'm not
Is he
gonna
gonna
pick
show
him.
up?
I'm not gonna pick him because I just feel like I picked him a few times since we've started, and like it's just been a complete letdown. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Sheldon Creed, even though he's had a few moments that make me think he's on Lights Too Bright watch. Maybe more than a few moments that make me think he's on Lights Too Bright watch. But you know what? I'm gonna give him one more chance. But if he doesn't, he's gonna be on the same list. Corey LaJoy, Bubba Wallace's pit crew, the first 2.5 years of his organization. Lights Too Bright watch.
I'm never forgiving Corey LaJoy for worldwide technology. I'm never forgiving him for it. Ever.
I mean, look, once you get on the list, it's almost impossible. It's like Hotel California. You can check in, but you cannot check out. All right, like it is a hard list to get off of. So you gotta do something special.
I'm asleep, bro. Oh my lord.
Yeah, it reminds me kind of the periodic fraud watches that F1 Twitter has with drivers. But yeah, honestly, for Xfinity, probably Sammy or Sheldon. Honestly, I think they both have shown big speed at Kansas before, and so I don't see any reason why they shouldn't. Actually, ironically enough, my dark horse pick for the week probably was going to be Brandon Jones. So we'll see if I end up regretting that. I probably will, but
I got a darker horse for you.
oh,
Josh Berry.
yeah,
It's
okay.
time. It's time. He's stepping into a cup ride and has done absolutely nothing in Xfinity this year. Over there riding around for free. Junior gonna make him pay tax. He wins his Kansas. And now, of course, y'all thought I was gonna leave Cup out. I don't know if y'all saw. I know the four of us did. There's a Columbia scheme that got resurrected from the ashes. It's gonna rise like a phoenix.
Oh my
That
God.
Infinity Gold, baby.
Yeah.
Ooh,
And this time, keep it in one piece.
Ooh, wee.
If you know, you know.
Ooh,
Love you, Bubba.
wee.
Love you, Bubba. Sorry about that.
This is
I had to say that.
arguably my favorite race game in the last 15 years. And I can
Agreed.
say that because it's getting a second chance. It's getting a redemption run. I think Bubba goes back to back. Toyota wins again at Kansas.
Man. Felt that, man. If we get that cast, y'all better pre-order it because I need it.
Yeah, I know.
If it's a race win, then you won't have to worry about it.
Oh yeah, of course. But I'm saying if it's a regular one, pre-order it. Cause when this is on pre-order 2 years ago, we didn't get it. Sorry, I'm screaming in y'all ears about that. But we didn't get it. I need it.
I'm not as die-cast crazy as Bonte, but I need one. If this is the one I'm gonna have of Bubba, I need this Infinity Gold. I gotta have it. Columbia has not missed on paint schemes. I gotta have this. Come on, Bubba.
But pray to God we go back to back. Pray to God. But I obviously I'm confident that I'm confident that Bubba gonna have a great day at Kansas. I'm not worried about Kansas because he be doing some great things at Kansas. I'm looking forward to Sunday.
Yeah, just like I don't need him to win. Obviously, he's going to get points. He had a great points day there in the spring. Get points. But if you win,
he was in top 5 all race at Kansas. Top 5 all race. And not only that, he's a restart god. So you already know. I'm hyped for Kansas.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's been a small handful of weeks this year where I was really confident and feeling good about a 23 win. Atlanta was one. Chicago was one. No, I'm playing. Charlotte was one. And this is another one, right? Like, they've had this circled on their calendar for a while. And there's been a lot of talk about how, getting both of the 2311 cars in the playoffs was like the ultimate goal. They've accomplished it. But I have to believe that they've had this in the back of their mind all season, this exact scenario. Like, if we get in there and we can get to Kansas, like, we can do some damage. Like, we can really hurt these guys. And so, like, I love, the fact that the playoffs line up like this, that Kansas isn't, a round of 8 or, track where there's a potential chance where they wouldn't make it to it and still be in the playoffs. So I say, we're going to go all in. We need the best that they got, like we said at Michigan, right? We need A++. I need this car cheated up. I need it to have buckshot in the rails that you can leak out. Like, I need everything you got. Just whatever it takes, right, to get that win. So I'm going to go with Bubba as well as my pick. And I just pray, like, this is the week it pays off. Like, Lord, I only need one pick to go right per season. And this is my one. Like, I'm calling all my favors. Like, this is the one I need.
Yeah, absolutely. I am, like I said, how, the 23 team probably has Kansas, circled on, their calendar. I've, got Bubba circled, for a win. Absolutely. This team has done fantastic things at Kansas. Well, frankly, Toyota broadly always is very, very quick at Kansas. So I'm really pulling for a Bubba win, but now I'm gonna deviate just a little bit from the rules here. Still in the spirit of, but in sort of the dark horse potentially overachiever awards. Honestly, for certainly a solid points finish day, Hocevar, I think, is a good pick for just, I don't think he's going to be fighting for a win. I'd be amazed if he was. But just for like a solid points day, honestly, Carson is proving to be quite handy behind the wheel of these cars. And I know it was gone over or has been gone over quite a bit in the litany of postmortems that both we have done and other folks have done elsewhere on Noah's short-lived Cup career. But I think me and like a lot of folks, I think gave lots of excuses. First year in Cup, he'll figure it out. Blah blah. He was fast in Xfinity, so on and so forth. Kind of the stuff that I think you should do. When you're talking about rookie drivers, but yeah, Carson has been really killing it. He has put the number 42. Basically, he's dragging that thing to finishes that car has not seen all year. And seems to be doing so with not a ton of effort. Again, not really doing anything showy. But, he wraps up P17, P15. Like I said, just solid days. So, especially as the pieces of driver market, silly season continue, I'd be surprised if somebody doesn't lock him up full time.
To that point, what I just thought about? Remember how Josh Berry was filling in for the Hendrick drivers, and then it got announced that he was going to drive for SHR?
Mm-hmm.
I really honestly think that he's going to be driving for colleagues next year, and he's getting free seat time right now. I genuinely think that they are signing him to the 31 car, and I'm just waiting for it to be announced because this is awful convenient. He doing this well.
Mm-hmm.
He's having his tree outs right now. You know what I'm saying? It's awful convenient.
Yeah, I mean, Danny wrapped it up real nicely. Just the fact that he's been out there and he does not look lost He does not look in over his head. He looks better than a lot of guys that we see on a week in and week out basis. He's made that car look a lot better than it did when Noah was in there. So, for whatever it may be, he seems ready. I mean, I thought he was ready after St. Louis. I said sign him for next year after that, just because it's your first race and you're running that well. That tells me that you're worth taking a flyer on. I still say the 7 should have picked him up, but whatever. But yeah, I think you have to love that if you're a host of our fan, right? Like, that's exactly what you want. Just really solid, consistent, good efforts. That's all you could hope for. And so if he gets that 31 car next year, like, that's not a bad gig to get. There are definitely worse seats on the grid, worse than that.
Yeah, speaking of existing hosts of our fans, he is currently turning me into one right now.
Before we leave the topic of Kansas, at the time of recording, here's the I feel compelled to share with you what FanDuel says the odds are. Right now, Denny's the odds-on favorite at plus 450. Kyle Larson at plus 550. The same with Martin Truex. Willie B's at plus 750. Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell at plus 900. Bubba Wallace is at plus 1,200, giving him better odds to win than Kyle Busch, Ross Chastain, Chris Buescher, Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski. You have to be a legal adult over the age of 18 or 21 in some states to gamble. I'm not telling you what to do with your money. I'm just letting you know that Vegas has their eye on Bubba as well, because it's not too high, it's not too low. It's kind of just perfect. And I think that's where his odds were last fall Kansas race when he won. I think they were somewhere in there. So
yeah, and truth be told,
do with that information as you will.
Yeah, and about actually what his odds were, because folks seem to have their eye on him at Michigan too. I seem to recall it being kind of in that ballpark, and he ended up doing pretty well.
Somewhere in there. In there. Well, cool. Open season. What y'all got? Questions, comments, concerns? Did we miss anything?
So I forgot to put the Ask Bonte, the people who asked me some questions, but I am nice enough to ask one of y'all. Do y'all have any questions for me? One of y'all, what y'all got for me?
We still got to ask Bonte questions from last week. You ain't getting off that either. I don't know what you thought this was.
So
don't get it twisted now.
Don't get it twisted, baby. We got questions.
No.
We always have questions.
So now we answered last week questions. You know what? I'll do it. Fine. Go ahead. Great. What's wrong?
It's time for hashtag Ask Bonte. You are the people's champ. You are the face of the company. You are the popular one. There will always be questions for Bonte.
All right, what you got for me, Ryan? 4 years later.
Did you ever tell your followers to ask Bonte? I like that question.
No, I forgot to do it. That's my bad.
You got the most followers out of all of us, and you ain't even gonna ask the people that listen to your every word.
I was busy, man. It won't happen again. It won't happen again. Next week, yeah.
All right, here's another one, because you're not going to get off without 2 questions. From Actina the Wolf, hope I'm saying that right, on Twitter. They want to know, what is your opinion on Martin Truex Jr.?
Really? Martin Truex. Out of all, no, I'm playing. Legend. I'm gonna be honest with you. Be a legend in sports, future Hall of Famer. A massive comeback to his career. Literally, from 2 wins, from like barely gaining wins, until 2015 when his career had changed. And then 2016, that's when his career took off to the next level. Literally had one of the demolished everyone in the 2016 Coke 600. Won eight races in 2017 and won the championship. So the man deserves his flowers. Future Hall of Famer.
All right, y'all. Don't forget to get your questions in for hashtag Ask Bonte. This question comes from Martini8191. Are you ever willing to watch IMSA?
I watch IMSA. Yes, of course I watch it. I love IMSA.
When you say you watch IMSA, what's the last IMSA race you watched?
Shout out to my boys, the Penske boys.
Where did they drive?
That's all you need to know, Jared.
Are they Porsche?
Huh?
Is it Penske
Yes.
Porsches?
Penske Porsche, yeah.
I'd love to go to the 24 Hours of Daytona. I wouldn't be able to stay up the whole race, but I think that sounds like fun.
Stay at the whole race.
Are those cars loud?
Yes.
No, they massively loud.
For real? Are they loud in Cup cars?
That's tough.
That
Anymore, probably not. Certainly the last set of regs, because the Cadillac was very loud. The C7R was very loud. The Porsches were absurdly loud. Those were ear-splittingly loud. I don't think they're quite that bad anymore, but they certainly were. I've was fortunate enough through sort of my my past professional life to go to the 24 Hours of Daytona, and and then IMSA in my hometown of Detroit. So to go to a handful of those events.
Oh, boo-hoo, lucky you. No, but that's cool though. Did you end up going to the IndyCar race when I was in Detroit?
Yes, absolutely. Went first year I went was back in 2006, 2007, and have gone basically sporadically ever since. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it to the race on the new circuit. I was in Detroit, but I had some family obligations that weekend and just couldn't make it down to the new circuit to see. But no, when it was on Belle Isle every year, I went fairly frequently.
That's nice. So I ain't trying to be off topic, but there's very, very lucky that IndyCar is coming back to my hometown, the Milwaukee Mile, next season. I'm hyped. I'm excited, and I will be there no matter what. And this time, when I do be there, I'm gonna be wearing my VLB Bob shirt.
Oh, thank brand.
God. So if you know me, if you see me next year, come say hi. I'll pass out some VLB Bob's cards. You heard it here first, peoples.
We might have to do a merch run at this point if he's gonna just put the team.
I was gonna say, yeah, like
we might have to do a run.
Yeah.
How many cozies do you think you can carry, Bonte?
Do you need a Victory Lane Vibes backpack?
I would absolutely buy that. Do it.
I like that. I like that actually. Mm-hmm.
Replace the JanSport with our logo. That sounds like fun.
See, we got some merch coming soon.
Any backpack companies out there that want to collab, please hit us up.
Facts.
In the future, who knows?
Hanes, reach out. Fruit of the Loom, reach out. JanSport, reach out. North Face, reach out. Nah, we can't deal with you, North Face. We're Columbia people here. Columbia, reach out. Cool. Well, with that, thank you for listening. Thank you for catching the vibes. We will see you post Kansas. Hopefully, there's a Bonte Shuey coming. Wink, wink.
Hopefully, because if my boy did it, it's Shuey time, boys.
You doing another one? You're gonna double Shuey?
I'll
do a pair of shoes.
I'll say this: if one, I would do one if my boy gets it done.
And we decided that you're doing Dr. Pepper again and not McDonald's Sprite. We'll see.
All right, everybody. We appreciate y'all. Make sure to like, share with your parents, share with your brother, sister, neighbor, all your friends. We appreciate you.
And keep
Follow
in
us on all the
mind,
socials.
and keep in mind, Don't forget to submit your questions at hashtag #AskBonte.